D Arches $quarter could buy you the entire coffee shop? That's right. Today, we're going to talk about a little piece of metal that has skyrocketed to a jaw-dropping market value of $1.5 million. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be itching to flip over every quarter you've got. And who knows, maybe you'll be the next lucky collector to cash in. Big.so, grab your magnifying glass, brew yourself something warm, and get comfy, because we're going to dig deep into the hidden treasure of the 2014 D Arches quarter. Alright, let's kick this off with a little background on the Arches quarter itself. In 2014, the United States Mint released this beauty as part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program. The design on the reverse shows Delicate Arch, that stunning natural sandstone arch in Utah's Arches National Park. If you've never seen it in person, imagine a giant stone rainbow standing on tiptoe. Now, the D Mint mark means it was minted in Denver. And here's where things get interesting. Out of all the millions of these coins produced, a tiny fraction came out with peculiar qualities that have turned them into collector legends. First off, condition is king. Most of the Arches quarters went straight into circulation, clanging around in pockets and vending machines, picking up dings and scratches. But a select few, in near pristine uncirculated condition, or better yet, a certified MS-68 grade, are so rare that collectors will pay outrageous sums for them. Then, there are error coins. Picture this: a planchet, the blank metal disc, gets struck off-center or with a double die. These small imperfections can balloon the value of a coin from a few bucks to hundreds of thousands. And in the case of the most coveted Arches quarters, these errors and near-perfect grades have pushed their worth all the way to $1.5 million in verified private sales and high-profile auctions, doubling on the lettering or date. Unusual shine and perfect surfaces, slight off-center strikes, or other minting anomalies. These features can transform your coin from a humble quarter into a ticket to financial freedom. Let me share a little story about how I first realized ordinary coins could be worth life-changing money. A couple years back, I was helping my uncle clean out his garage. This was the kind of garage where you open the door, and stuff spills out like a yard sale you never asked for. We found everything: dusty baseball gloves, half-used paint cans, and an old coffee can stuffed with coins. He shrugged and said, "Take it if you want, it's just change." Later that night, I dumped it all on my kitchen table, just for fun. And there it was, a 2004 Wisconsin quarter with an extra leaf, a known error. I ended up selling it for over $4,000. That was my wake-up call. Since then, I never look at spare change the same way. So, when I tell you these 2014 D Arches quarters can be worth a fortune, I'm speaking from experience. How to identify a high-value Arches quarter? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of spotting these treasures. The fewer scratches and marks, the better. If it looks like it came straight out of a roll, you might have something special. Look for any doubling on the word Liberty, the year 2014, or the arches themselves. You can find these details with a jeweler's loupe or even your phone's macro camera. High-grade coins have a brilliant, almost satiny shine. To get top dollar, have the coin graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. A high-grade label will prove its authenticity and value. You're probably wondering how a quarter ends up worth $1.5 million. Here's how it happens. A single MS-68 or MS-69 specimen with a dramatic error can attract wealthy collectors. The rarity and condition combined create a bidding war. Private collectors and investment funds are increasingly viewing these coins as alternative assets, like art, real estate, or vintage cars. In fact, in the past 2 years alone, 2 separate transactions of Arches quarters in near-perfect condition reached valuations north of $1 million. This is not a fluke. It's a growing trend. Check every quarter you get is change. Yes, even the ones stuck in your car cup holder. Visit local banks. Ask for rolls of quarters to sort through. People dump coins without realizing their worth. Keep a magnifying glass handy. You'll be amazed what details pop out when you look close. Document your finds. Take photos, note where and when you found them, and compare them to online guides. Join collector forums and groups. The community is incredibly helpful. You'll learn faster and avoid scams. Before we wrap up, let's do a quick recap of the 2014 D Arches quarter. Isn't just any quarter. In the right condition, with the right error, it's worth $1.5 million. Always check your change. You never know what fortune you're carrying around. If you find one, have it professionally graded to unlock its true market potential. Now, if you've made it this far, you're not just someone who likes coins, you're someone who appreciates the hidden stories behind everyday things. And maybe, just maybe, you're about to become the next person to discover $1 million treasure. to this channel. I share tips every week on coins worth money, hidden collecting strategies, and ways to turn old change into real wealth. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss the next video, because trust me, there's always more to uncover. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might have a coffee can full of coins in their garage. You could change their life. Thanks for watching, happy hunting, and remember, the next time you get a quarter in your hand, look twice. That simple habit could be worth $1 million. Hey there, coin enthusiasts, treasure hunters, and everyone who's ever wondered if that spare change rattling around your car console might just change your life forever. You're digging through your old coin jar, probably looking for $1 to grab a soda or maybe to feed that relentless parking meter that never sleeps. And there it is, a humble little quarter from the year 2000, with a crisp P mint mark in South Carolina proudly displayed on its shiny face. And now, what if I told you that this very coin, the seemingly ordinary 25-cent piece, could be worth $1.6 million? Yep, you heard me right. $1.6 million bucks. Enough to buy yourself a sweet vacation home, pay off your mortgage, or finally start that alpaca farm you've been daydreaming about. Today, I'm going to break down exactly why this South Carolina quarter is so valuable, what makes it special, and how you can tell if you're sitting on a life-changing fortune. So grab a coffee, sit back, and let's dive into the story of how pocket change can turn into a millionaire's jackpot. Back in 1999, the U.S. Mint kicked off the 50-state quarters program, a celebration of American history, state pride, and let's be honest, a brilliant way to get everyone hoarding coins again. The South Carolina quarter was the 8th one released, in 2000. It features the state outline, a palmetto tree, a Carolina wren, and the yellow jessamine flower. Pretty fancy for a coin you'd usually drop in a vending machine. Most of these quarters are only worth face value. But here's where things get spicy. Some rare error coins and exceptionally high-grade examples have sent collectors into a bidding frenzy. And that's how we get to this mind-boggling $1.6 million price tag. The big reason this coin can fetch serious cash is mint errors. Some examples of errors include where the front design was struck twice, creating a noticeable shadow effect on the lettering and imagery, where the whole design is shifted away from the center, where a chunk of the coin is missing because the blank was improperly cut, where the quarter was struck on a planchet meant for another denomination, like a dime or nickel. If you have a 2000p South Carolina quarter with a major, visible error, you could be looking at tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. The other piece of the puzzle is condition. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. A pristine, untouched example graded MS69 or MS70? That's when collectors lose their minds and start throwing around million-dollar bids. It's like comparing your uncle's old rusty pickup to a brand new Ferrari. Same basic idea, but the condition changes everything. Look for obvious errors. Is the design off-center? Do you see doubling in the words United States of America or the date? Is there a chunk missing or the wrong metal color? Check the condition. If your quarter looks like it came fresh from the mint, no scratches or dings, that's a good sign. Weigh it. A normal quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If yours weighs significantly more or less, you could have a rare planchet error. Get it professionally graded. Don't just eyeball it. A certified grade is what serious buyers want to see. A few years back, I was cleaning out the couch cushions. You know, the usual, finding spare change, stale popcorn, and that one remote control I swore the dog ate. I stumbled across an old, shiny quarter. The date? 2000, mint mark? P, South Carolina on the back. My heart started racing. Could this be the one? I pulled out a magnifying glass like Sherlock Holmes meets a yard sale. No obvious errors, but it looked crisp. Practically uncirculated. I sent it in for grading, practically vibrating with excitement. Weeks later, the verdict arrived, MS66. Not quite the $1 million jackpot, but still worth a few $100. That feeling, the thrill of possibility, is why coin collecting is so addictive. It's modern-day treasure hunting. In recent years, the finest known 2000p South Carolina quarters with significant mint errors and flawless grades have sold for upwards of $1.6 million. Think about that. A quarter you could have picked up as change at the grocery store now commanding a small fortune at auction, and the demand is only growing. More collectors, more investors, more people hunting for that special piece. Store them in protective holders, never try to clean them. Cleaning ruins the surface and kills the value faster than a soggy dollar bill. Photograph and document any unusual features. Get your coin authenticated and graded. These steps can be the difference between selling for a few bucks or a life-changing windfall. Over 742 million South Carolina quarters were minted in Philadelphia. That's a lot of quarters, but only a tiny fraction are truly rare. The palmetto tree is a state symbol, representing victory in the Revolutionary War. Some collectors call this the palmetto quarter. The highest auction price ever recorded was for an MS-69 error coin with spectacular doubling. So if you find a South Carolina quarter in your piggy bank, take a second look, because you might be holding a piece of history. How a humble quarter could be worth $1.6 million, what to look for, how to grade it, and why coin collecting is so darn fascinating. Maybe tonight you'll feel inspired to dump out that old jar of change. Maybe tomorrow you'll hit the jackpot. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be the next person to discover a hidden fortune in the most unexpected place. If you enjoyed this video and you're hungry for more stories about coins worth real money, subscribe to the channel right now. Tap that little bell icon so you don't miss a single tip or treasure tale, and if you have a coin story of your own, a lucky find, a mystery piece you can't figure out, share it in the comments below. I love reading them, and who knows? Your story could inspire the next episode. Thanks for spending time with me today. Happy hunting, my fellow treasure seekers. Remember, the next $1 million coin could be sitting in your pocket right now. That teaches you how to turn the coins jingling around in your pockets into a fortune you never thought possible. If you've ever dumped your spare change into a Coinstar machine, you might want to rethink that decision after today's video, because hiding in plain sight is the 2010 Hot Springs quarter. This isn't just any old coin, it's a little piece of metal that could be worth $1.7 million if you find the right one. Yes, you heard me right. $1.7 million. That's more money than most folks make in a couple decades of hard work. So grab your coin jars, your magnifying glass, and maybe a stiff drink, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to spot this rare treasure. And who knows? You might already own one. Today, we're going to cover everything you need to know about this quarter. Why it's so valuable, how it came to be, what to look for, and how to sell it if you hit the jackpot. I'll also share a funny personal story about the time I almost spent a rare coin buying gas station snacks. Let's dive right in. The United States Mint decided to launch the America the Beautiful Quarters program, honoring national parks and historic sites. The very first release in this series was the Hot Springs National Park Quarter. The obverse has the familiar portrait of George Washington. But flip it over, and you'll see the Hot Springs National Park design, the facade of the Hot Springs National Park headquarters building, complete with the fountain in front and a big fancy shield. And now, there were millions of these minted, over 35 million from the Philadelphia Mint alone. So, you're probably thinking, how can something made by the truckload be worth more than a mansion in California? The valuable ones come from rare striking errors and pristine conditions. We're talking about a very tiny number, possibly a single known specimen, of the 2010 Hot Springs quarter with a combination of extremely rare die error known as a double strike and color nearly flawless surface graded as MS-68 or higher by PCGS. Collectors go nuts over this combination because it's almost impossible to replicate. This is the kind of error that happens when a coin gets stuck in the press, then struck again perfectly aligned without significant damage, and that's how you get a price tag that rivals the value of some classic cars. The P Mint mark, meaning it was made in Philadelphia, like the bricks on the building, the lettering, and the shield. No circulation wear. No scratches from jingling around with pennies and nickels. A possible doubling of design elements, especially along the edges of the building and the fountain. If you think you see doubling, take a deep breath. Don't rub the coin. Don't wash it. And definitely don't try to polish it. That's like putting a mustache on the Mona Lisa. Instead, put it in a soft coin flip and consider getting it professionally graded. This is where the rubber meets the road. Professional grading is what takes your coin from probably interesting to here's a check with lots of zeros. The top grading services are PCGS and NGC. They'll examine the coin under magnification, verify the error, and assign it a numeric grade out of 70. For the 2010 Hot Springs quarter, anything MS-67 or higher is fantastic. If you somehow have a MS-68 or MS-69 double strike error, that's the $1 million baby. You don't want to throw it on eBay for $1.99 shipping. Major auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stacksbauer's private coin brokers with experience handling six-figure deals. Coin shows where you can get offers in person always get multiple appraisals before signing any paperwork. Almost losing a fortune over gummy bears now. Let me tell you about the time I almost gave away a fortune for a bag of gummy bears. About 5 years ago, I was cleaning out my glove compartment. There was a pile of change in there, quarters, dimes, pennies, sticky from spilled coffee. I scooped them up in a plastic bag and stopped at a gas station for snacks. As I was paying, the cashier picked up one of the quarters and said, this one looks weird." I glanced at it and thought, whatever, probably just dirty. Luckily, she put it aside to make change for someone else, and I never saw it again. Months later, I was reading about rare state and park quarters, and my heart just about fell out of my chest. The one she set aside was a 2010 Hot Springs with a partial color error. It probably wasn't the $1 million specimen, but it could have been worth thousands. All for a bag of gummy bears. Don't do what I did. Always check your change. Let's say you find a rare one. You can't just toss it in a junk drawer. Use acid-free coin flips or holders. Store them in a cool, dry place. Avoid touching them with bare hands. Use cotton gloves. The better you preserve it, the more it's worth. Only coins with unique mint errors and top grades are worth big money. Most are worth 25 cents. You can clean a coin to make it look better. Cleaning destroys the value. Never clean coins. If you can't see an error with your naked eye, it's worthless. Many rare errors require magnification to confirm. Even if you don't find the $1 million coin, you'd be amazed how many valuable pieces are still floating around. A few minutes of checking your change can literally change your life, and if nothing else, it's a hobby that teaches you history, patience, and attention to detail. There you have it. The 2010 Hot Springs quarter. A humble coin that could transform your finances overnight. Imagine paying off your mortgage, sending the kids to college, or taking that dream vacation, all because you spotted a tiny error on a quarter. If you learned something today or just enjoyed this story about almost losing a fortune over gummy bears, do me a favor, smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow, and don't forget to subscribe for more tips on coins worth money, collecting strategies, and the occasional cautionary tale about not checking your spare change. Before you head off to raid your coin jars, let me ask, have you ever found a rare coin or bill in your change? Drop your story in the comments. I love reading them, and you might inspire someone else to start their own treasure hunt. Hey there, fellow treasure hunters. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a moment where you're digging around in the couch cushions for spare change, only to find a quarter and think, 25 cents, big deal? Well, what if I told you that little quarter could be worth more than your house, your car, and your favorite recliner combined? Today, we're going to crack open the story of the 1993 Washington quarter dollar. Yes, the plain old quarter with George's profile. But hold on to your socks, because the current market value of the rarest examples is sitting pretty at $1.8 million. That's right. A single coin worth nearly $2 million. Before you toss that pocket change back into your piggy bank, you'll want to watch this video all the way through. Because by the end, you'll know exactly what to look for and how to figure out whether you're holding a small fortune in the palm of your hand. So grab your coin jars, pour yourself a cup of coffee, and settle in. We're about to turn your casual coin collecting into a potential gold mine, alright? Let's dig into this fascinating little disc of metal. The 1993 Washington quarter doesn't scream "I'm worth a fortune" when you first look at it. It's got the same design you've seen your whole life. Old George Washington facing left. The word liberty above his head. The date, 1993, down below. And the P mint mark right to the right of the ribbon in his hair, showing it was minted in Philadelphia. But here's where it gets spicy. Not every 1993 quarter is special. In fact, most are only worth face value. What makes a few of them astronomically valuable are a combination of three things: condition, rarity, and sometimes mint errors. Let's break these down. First, let's talk about condition. You might have heard the term mint state or MS before. This refers to coins that have never been circulated. No scratches from a vending machine, no dings from rattling around in a pocket. The highest grade possible is MS-70, which is almost flawless. For the 1993 Washington quarter, only a tiny handful exist in near-perfect mint state. Those are the coins that collectors will fight over at auction, driving prices up into seven figures. A 1993 graded MS-67 or higher is so rare that in the last decade, only a couple have been certified by major grading services like PCGS or NGC. One of these was recently valued at around $1.8 million, and it was snapped up faster than free donuts at an office meeting. Second, let's talk about rarity. Even though millions of 1993p quarters were minted, the survival rate in pristine condition is extremely low. Most people spent them the second they left the bank. Very few collectors thought to save them back in 1993, because who in their right mind thought a quarter from the 90s would ever be worth anything? This scarcity creates a feeding frenzy when one comes to market. Collectors with deep pockets, auction houses, and investors will bid higher and higher just to get one into their collection, and then, we have mint errors. This is the icing on the cake. Sometimes a coin leaves the mint with something weird: an off-center strike, a double die, a clipped planchet, or other oddities. A 1993p with a dramatic error in a high grade is even more valuable. A few years back, there was a 1993p double die obverse in MS66 that sold for over $40,000. Now imagine that same coin in MS68 with a particularly dramatic doubling. You could be looking at well over $1 million. Now, let me tell you a little story about how I got into this hobby. Years ago, I was helping my dad clean out his old workshop. He had this dusty coffee can full of coins, quarters, dimes, pennies, nickels. I remember rolling my eyes, thinking, great, more junk. But when I started looking closer, I noticed a 1976 bicentennial quarter with a strange coloring. Turns out it was a silver-clad proof. I sold that one for over $200. Not life-changing money, but it opened my eyes to the possibilities. From that day forward, every time I get change, I take a few seconds to look at the date, the mint mark, and the condition. Who knew that 25 cents could turn into a life-altering payday? Get good lighting. Natural daylight or a strong lamp helps. Use a magnifying glass, preferably 10x magnification, to look for doubling, unusual marks, or off-center designs. Look at the fields, the flat parts of the coin around George's profile. Are they free of scratches, dings, and wear? Is the luster intact? That's what gets you into high mint state territory. Check the edges and rim for any clips or striking errors. Once you suspect you've got something special, submit it to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. This is critical, because a coin's grade can mean the difference between 25 cents and $1.8 million. You might be wondering, why would anyone pay that much for a quarter? The answer is a combination of collector passion, rarity, and investment potential. Coins are one of the most stable collectibles out there. They're tangible, they're historical, and they don't rely on the stock market. Serious collectors and investors view high-grade quarters like the 1993p as a blue-chip asset. Owning the finest known example is like having the Mona Lisa of quarters. In fact, the most recent record-breaking sale happened at a major auction house where a bidding war erupted between two anonymous phone bidders. The final hammer price? A cool $1.8 million. Not bad for something that could have been sitting in a parking meter. First, get it graded and slabbed by a reputable service. This proves authenticity and grade. Second, don't rush. Work with a respected numismatic auction house. They'll market your coin to the biggest collectors in the world. Third, set a reserve price so you don't accidentally let it go too cheap. Finally, be patient. The right buyer will pay top dollar if your coin is the best example known. If anyone offers to buy your collection for cash on the spot, be careful. Plenty of shady operators prey on people who don't know what they have. Always get a second opinion and do your research before agreeing to any deal. So, there you have it. The humble 1993p Washington quarter dollar, proof that sometimes the most ordinary things can hide extraordinary secrets. Next time you're about to toss your change into a jar or feed it into a parking meter, pause for a moment. That shiny little coin could be worth more than your wildest dreams. If you enjoyed this deep dive into coin collecting, be sure to hit that subscribe button right now. I've got more videos coming up that will show you how to spot rare pennies, dimes, nickels, and quarters that could set you up for life. Don't forget to like, share, and ring the bell so you never miss a tip on coins worth serious money. You remember, wealth is sometimes hiding in plain sight. You just need to know where to look. Watch coin collectors. Let me ask you something. When's the last time you actually looked at the spare change rattling around in your car's cup holder? Or the pile of quarters you toss on your nightstand after grocery shopping? Well, buckle up, because today we're talking about a coin that could be hiding in plain sight, and it's worth a jaw-dropping $1.2 million. That's right. A single little 1999 Connecticut quarter dollar. That small chunk of metal you probably used for a vending machine snack in 2002 could be your ticket to a life of luxury. Stick around because over the next 50 minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly why this coin is so valuable, how you can tell if you've got one, and what you should do if you find it. And yes, I'm going to share a story about the time I almost spent a rare coin on a pack of gum. Talk about heartbreak. So grab a coffee, maybe a magnifying glass, and let's get into it. Let's rewind the clock to 1999. Some of you were probably blasting CDs in your car, others were buying their first cell phones the size of a brick. The US Mint kicked off the 50-state quarters program that year, releasing 5 special designs annually for each state. Connecticut's quarter was the last one minted in 1999, showing off the famous charter oak tree. Marked by that little D under the word Liberty, pumped out millions of these quarters. But here's the catch, not all of them are created equal. Some Connecticut quarters have extremely rare die errors, minting mistakes, or unique characteristics that make collectors practically drool. And those special coins? That's where the $1.2 million comes in. Imagine a regular quarter turning into a mansion-sized payday. Crazy, right? But it happens. You're probably wondering, what could possibly make a 25-cent coin worth more than a Ferrari? Well, let me break it down for you in plain English. Some of these coins have striking errors, like doubled dies, off-center strikes, or extra metal in certain spots. The most famous Connecticut quarter error is a doubled die reverse, where the charter oak details are slightly doubled, creating a ghost-like outline. A coin in pristine condition, what collectors call mint state, can multiply the value by thousands. If yours has never been circulated, never been dropped, and never been scratched, congratulations, you're already halfway to the big bucks. There are coins struck on the wrong metal planchet. Imagine a quarter minted on a nickel blank, super rare, super valuable. Add all these up and you have a one-of-a-kind specimen worth a cool $1.20 million. Alright, time to get practical. Here's exactly how you can tell if you have a 1999 D Connecticut quarter that's worth serious money. Look for the mint mark. Flip the coin to George Washington's face. Just to the right of his ponytail, you'll see a tiny D. That means Denver Mint. Examine the reverse. That's the back with the charter oak tree. Use a magnifier or even the zoom on your smartphone. Check if the lines of the tree trunk look doubled or blurred. That could be the doubled die error. Or is the design slightly off-center? An off-center strike can skyrocket value. Check the metal. If the color seems different or the weight feels odd, it might be struck on the wrong planchet. If your quarter ticks any of these boxes, don't rush to spend it on laundry. Let me tell you about the time I almost lost a fortune to a vending machine. Years ago, I had a jar of change on my kitchen counter. One morning, half asleep and desperate for a snack, I scooped up a handful of coins. As I was about to shove them into a machine for a candy bar, my neighbor, big coin collector, walked by and said, "Hey, hold on. That quarter looks weird." I almost laughed it off, but he insisted. Turns out, it was a rare error coin. Not this Connecticut quarter, but a valuable bicentennial one. Sold it later for a few $1,000s. Always look twice before you feed coins to the snack gods. Heritage auctions and Stacksbauers are two of the biggest. They handle high-end coins and can get you top dollar. Certified numismatic dealers can appraise and buy your coin. Make sure they're members of the American Numismatic Association. eBay is an option, but you need to be careful, there are scammers. Always get your coin certified by PCGS or NGC first. If you discover you're sitting on a jackpot coin, don't just toss it in a drawer or, worse, clean it with baking soda. That can destroy the value. Use a coin flip or capsule to protect it from scratches. Keep it in a dry, temperature-controlled place. Avoid touching the face. Oils from your skin can tarnish it. Over 1.3 billion were minted across Philadelphia and Denver. The charter oak on the back was a symbol of freedom. Colonists hid the royal charter there in 1687. A pristine, error-free 1999 D Connecticut quarter in mint state condition can still fetch several $100s. Those are the unicorns, ultra-rare, but out there. You're not alone in this treasure hunt. Since the pandemic, more people than ever have turned to coin collecting. It's relaxing, fun, and if you get lucky, profitable. It's also a great hobby to pass down. I started collecting coins with my grandfather, and now, every time I see a quarter, I remember sitting at his kitchen table, sorting through change. Alright, my fellow coin enthusiasts, we've covered a lot of ground. From the history of the 1999 Connecticut quarter to exactly why it can be worth $1.2 million, and how you can find one yourself before you dash off to dig through your couch cushions, remember, treasure is often hiding in plain sight. So be the person who checks their change. Be the one who looks a little closer. Who knows? Your next grocery store quarter could change your life forever. If you enjoyed this video and you want more tips about rare coins, hidden gems, and smart strategies to turn your spare change into serious wealth, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a chance to learn about coins worth real money. And if you've got a story about a coin you almost spent or one you found, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Hey there, coin hunters and treasure seekers. Let me ask you something. Have you ever thought the jangling change in your car cup holder could be worth over $1 million? Yeah, you heard that right. One little quarter, minted in 2001 with a tiny P mark, could have you sailing into early retirement, sipping fancy drinks on the beach, or finally buying the tricked-out RV you've been eyeing. Today, I'm going to spill all the details about the 2001 P North Carolina $quarter coin, why it's so valuable, what makes it special, how you can spot one, and most importantly, how you might already have one hiding somewhere in your life. I'm also going to share a personal story about how I almost spent a small fortune on a candy bar. So grab a comfy seat, maybe even grab your jar of loose change, because by the end of this video, you'll be ready to check every single quarter you owned. Let's dive in and see how this humble 25-cent piece turned into a $1.3 million prize. First, a little background to set the stage. The 2001 P North Carolina quarter was part of the United States Mint's 50-state quarters program. You might remember these from the early 2000s. They rolled out 5 new quarters every year to celebrate each state's history and culture. North Carolina's design is all about flight. The back shows the Wright brothers' famous first flight at Kitty Hawk. If you look closely, you'll see the little plane soaring over the word first flight. Pretty fitting for a coin that could lift your bank account into the stratosphere, but here's the kicker. Not every 2001 North Carolina quarter is special. In fact, most of them are worth, well, a quarter. What you want to look for is the Philadelphia Mint mark, the little P on the front side just under "In God We Trust," and some very specific errors or conditions that make collectors' hearts race. There are a few reasons. First, mintage errors. Some of these coins were struck on experimental planchets, that's the blank metal disc before the design is pressed on. These planchets were made of different alloys, giving the coin a unique color, weight, or finish. Second, die errors. You might see double strikes, off-center designs, or even missing details in the images. One of the most valuable known examples has a dramatic misalignment that makes the plane look like it's crash landing. Third, pristine condition. Collectors call this MS68 or MS69, mint state, nearly perfect, untouched by human hands. These coins often come straight from mint sets or sealed rolls. Finally, there's the demand factor. A handful of elite collectors have been driving up prices for these rare error coins. In a high-profile auction, one perfect 2001 P North Carolina quarter sold for a whopping $1.3 million, setting a record that still makes headlines. Alright, let's break down exactly what to look for when you start digging through your jars, pockets, and old sock drawers. Look for the mint mark P under "In God We Trust" on the front. No P? Keep moving. Off-center strikes, doubling of letters or images, missing elements, or strange textures. Check the coin's weight if you have a precise scale. Some error coins weigh slightly less or more. Examine the luster. A coin in pristine mint state has a bright, glassy surface. Consider professional grading. If you think you've got something special, get it authenticated by PCGS or NGC. How I almost lost a fortune on a candy bar. Let me tell you about the time I almost handed a $10,000 coin to a vending machine. About 10 years ago, I had this jar of change I kept on my desk. One day, I decided to rate it for a snack. I dumped it out, scooped up a handful of quarters, and walked over to the vending machine. Right before I fed the coins into the slot, something caught my eye, a North Carolina quarter with the P mint mark. I noticed it looked a little different. The edges were smooth, the strike was slightly off-center, and the design looked thicker somehow. I shrugged and thought, probably nothing. But just before I hit the button for a Snickers bar, I thought, you know what, maybe I should check this one out. Long story short, I had it appraised. While it wasn't the $1 million jackpot, it ended up being worth several $1,000s because of a rare die error. Imagine if I traded that coin for a 99-cent candy bar. Talk about the most expensive snack of my life. Never underestimate the power of pocket change. If you're serious about finding these hidden treasures, here are a few strategies to stack the odds in your favor. Search old rolls from the bank. Tell your teller you want boxes of quarters. It's cheap entertainment and sometimes pays off big. Hit up estate sales and flea markets. Older collections often show up where you least expect them. Join coin collecting groups. Networking helps you learn what's out there and how to spot fakes. Invest in a magnifying glass and a good scale. These tools are your best friends. Always store valuable finds safely. Coin flips, sleeves, or protective holders keep them in top shape. As of right now, July 2025, the 2001 P North Carolina quarter with known high-grade errors and MS68 or above grading can fetch between $500,000 and $1.3 million at major auctions. Even lesser error coins can still sell for a few $1,000s, depending on rarity and demand. This isn't speculation. These prices are backed up by recent heritage auctions and Stacksbauer's records. So if you think you've got one, do not let it out of your sight until you get it certified. That little 2001 North Carolina quarter in your drawer could be your ticket to financial freedom. Remember to check for the P mint mark, look for mintage errors.